Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for day 3 and more than likely the final day of this test match between the West Indies and Australia. After some brilliant bowling from the Aussies last night, West Indies find themselves 73 for 6, trailing by 22 runs at the end of day 2. Now, day 3, it's looking like a very nice afternoon for cricket. About probably 25 degrees at the moment. It's supposed to be a high of 29. I believe that the Australians, they'll look to get these first 4 wickets early. Josh Hazlewood bowling phenomenally last night. 8 overs, 4 wickets and 18 runs scored off. And we've got Michael in the chat. It says St. Martin watching. Welcome in. Hi, Amish. Says Jet Lees. And also, we have got there from Luge. Oh, nice. You're the lad from the Rugby World Cup. Remember those lives. So, yeah, we've still been going since the Rugby World Cup. We've got the Six Nations just around the corner. Super Rugby as well will be coming up in the near future. But for the West Indies, they started this match so well. And I know it sounds weird to say when you get bowled out for 188, but the way they were bowling to the Australians, they were taking their chances, getting Steve Smith out early, Marnus Labuschagne out early. Mitchell Marsh dismissed. Shamar Joseph was having a field day with the ball in hand. But unfortunately, late last night, they weren't quite able to get those wickets of the Australians in time to give themselves a bit more of a foundation to build in the evening session, instead losing those 6 wickets. Most recently, the wicket taken by Nathan Lyon. That was late in the evening, and that was actually the wicket of Greaves, LBW. And the umpire did give it not out. It was hitting the stumps. We've got an advertisement at the moment for the Sevens. Of course, the Perth Sevens just around the corner. We will be covering them on the channel as well. Next test match between these two sides, who now get an extra couple days to be able to relax and recover. They are going to be taking place on Thursday next week. And the reason I say they, it is West Indies versus Australia in the pink ball test match. And then also alongside that, England versus India in their first test match of their series. So test match cricket well and truly alive at the moment. This young West Indian team have come out and really proven themselves throughout this test match. And once again, you may look at this and the scoreboard and say, well, how have they done that? They aren't in the match too much at all at the moment. But when you're sending a side with 3 debuts, a few other players with less than 10 caps of experience up against the best test side in the world who have not made changes, they went with, once again, their strongest lineup. I'd like to see a few changes in the second test match for the Australians. Good evening, Test Cricketing family. There's Michael Murray. Welcome in, mate. And I do have to say, it is great to see you guys still tuning in, even though this match does look like it's going to come to a close today. It's still hugely appreciated you all being here for this morning session. Now, what the West Indies need to do to win this test match, if there's just a slither of a chance, there is still hope. Of course, at the end of the day, test match cricket is unpredictable. The pitch, we do not know what it's going to be doing today, but if somehow the West Indies can find themselves with the lead of, let's say, 100, it does sound very low, and it would be pretty tough to be able to change what is already a very strong test match for the Australians, but minimum 100 lead is what the West Indies will be after here. And, well, I guess it's Australia 1-0, says Michael Murray there. It does look that way. I'm curious to see how the pink ball test goes for the West Indies, though, because they've got some very handy bowlers. Greaves, I felt like he has done phenomenally throughout this test match. If it wasn't for Shamar Joseph scoring runs off the bat, as well as getting himself the fifer, I think that close second would have to be that man Greaves. Trevor said will win, says David. And also we get there, how's it going, Hamish? Says Ollie is the best. Doing very well, mate. Just about to start the 3rd day of this test match. Now, it is a shame that we are only going 3 days. There have been a lot of test matches recently that have been either this length or shorter, but it's just down to some of the brilliant bowling that we have seen, not just from Australia, but also from the West Indies in this test match. Like I mentioned, Shamar Joseph getting his fifer, Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood both getting 4 in the first innings. Hazlewood eyeing up a fifer here. He's got 4 opportunities to be able to get it. If he gets 2 wickets, he'll have a 10-wicket match. And I feel like at the moment, the way he's bowling probably deserves nothing less for Josh Hazlewood. But only about 4 minutes away from the first ball being bowled. Like I mentioned, the weather is fine. So I believe we will be in the scenario of no rain throughout this test match, hopefully anyway. And I mean, if there was, that would probably be the only way we're getting out of day 3. And this test, who do you think is older out of my girlfriend, Jacayla, me, Sean, and Scotty? It's a brilliant question, Ollie. Sean, it's spelt the old school way a little bit, isn't it? With the S-H-A-U-N. Scotty's an older name too. Although, if his name's actually Scott, but you just call him Scotty because it's like hip, maybe he would be... I'm just going to go Sean. Sean's the easy answer. I'll probably be wrong, but there's not a lot of knowledge to go off in terms of why I picked him. Six Nations starting 3rd of February. Another competition we will be doing on the channel alongside Test Match Cricket, because just after that, New Zealand will be playing South Africa in New Zealand, and we will be covering that test on the channel as well. They're just showing some of the highlights. Of course, the first ever ball bowled by Shamar Joseph in this test match. He was able to pick up the ever-important wicket of Steve Smith. And I feel like for the West Indies, their goal here is to get the Australians batting. I know they may only end up with a lead of, let's say, 15, 20 runs, somewhere around there. But if you can get Australia batting, pick up 1 or 2 quick wickets, that does a lot for you when it comes to the next test match. Because if you can get Steve Smith out cheaply in both innings, then all of a sudden he won't want to open anymore. He's got a good average at 4. They'll have to bring in Matty Renshaw or one of the other guys who probably should have got the jersey or the start in the first place. Sean is 30, Scotty is 26, I'm 21, girlfriend Jacayla is 20. So I actually nailed that. Sean the old school, Scotty with the cool nickname, it's 26. And suppose West Indies bat all day. Says Changing Lives broadcast. Well, if they bat all day, this test match is completely changed. And that's the thing. Joshua Da Silva has got enough ability to bat for a long period of time. We've seen him do it before. He got 100 not out. And if he is able to do that here, he needs support, though, from his teammates. That is something that Travis Head had the privilege of having with the Australian batting lineup. Stark was supporting him. They made a 50-run partnership. Cummins was there for a little bit before Travis Head did throw his wicket away. But, yeah, Da Silva just needs someone there with him, whether that's Alzarri Joseph, whether that's going to be Kumar Roach. They've still got Motti. He was a little bit disappointing in the first innings when it came to his batting, so you want to improve it here. I think Da Silva will make hundreds today, says Roshan. And yet that would change the match for the West Indies. So we talked about what the West Indies need to do to take a lead and to have a chance in this test match. One of these 2 batsmen who are making their way out there probably need at least 100. And the lead for the West Indies, I'll be honest, if the pitch keeps up with the variable bounce, quite a bit of movement, and of course spin will come into factor a little bit later on in this test match, 150 might be enough for the West Indies to lead by, but that is a long way away. For now, they need to cut down on those 22 runs. If they aren't able to do that, this test match is over and Australia will win by the innings and whatever runs are remaining on the board. But it was definitely a dream start for Australia when they did bowl last night, picking up the 2 wickets for just the 1 run. Chanderpaul dismissed, first ball duck from Josh Hazlewood. Not too long after, Brathwaite caught by Travis Head on the leg side. But now, Alzarri Joseph making his way out. Now, I don't know whether or not he will have the mindset of, I need to bat for time here, or whether he will look at this as an opportunity to score a lot of runs quickly and try and take it to the Aussie bowlers, perhaps thinking in his head, at the end of the day, Australia are going to get these wickets at some stage. We might as well have some runs on the board before they're able to do it. But he has got 1 ball to face of Nathan Lyon, with that wicket falling on the 5th ball of the last over of the day. It meant that they did have to call it 1 ball short. So now Alzarri Joseph, he's got an average of 12.35, but his best is 86. He's had 2 50s. Believe that 86 was when he was really going after the ball. Or, actually, it might have been Night Watchman when he came in early and had to really rebuild an innings for the West Indies. But 1 ball, the Australians, they've got the slip, they've got leg slip, bat pad, Nathan Lyon, first ball of day 3, and it's down the leg side, left alone by Alzarri Joseph. Doesn't quite go into Alex Carey's gloves, has a bit of a fumble of it. But that'll be the end of the over, 6 for 73. And I think Joseph will make 50 runs, says Roshan. Tell you what, Alzarri Joseph 50, De Silva 100. That would get them back into the match. They're just showing that review again. Looked like it was pitching outside leg. Even in the little picture, it looks like it might have been. And also, it looked like it slightly skimmed down the leg side, but Nathan Lyon getting extremely lucky with the 3 reds there. But now, it's going to be the next over. And Blessing says, Oren, welcome in, mate. You are doing extremely well. I hope you're excited for this day. At the end of day 3, we will either know the result, or maybe, just maybe, we can take this into a day 4. But for that to happen, De Silva and Joseph need to bat this whole session. They need 2 hours of putting it together well, working around the singles, getting boundaries when the bad ball is bowled by the Australians, which wasn't too often last night, as shown by Hazelwood's stats. Here comes Josh Hazelwood, first ball to Joshua De Silva. It's Josh to Josh, and it's a dot ball. Sandyford Bihari from New York. Australia is winning the first test today. Brian Lara will have to play for them in the second test. I mean, we got to see during the lunch break, Brian Lara yesterday was having a bit of a bat, and he's still got some good technique about him, old BC. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in a charity match of some sort soon. And anytime he does play in those, he normally does extremely well. But anyone who is new to the channel, I should mention, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Even if this is the last day of this test match, we are going to be back for the second test between these two sides. It will be a day-nighter, which means that it will be starting at about 12 a.m. midnight Jamaican time or North American time. So it's a bit of a rough time zone for you guys, but we will be here covering it on the channel. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're also on the road to 44,500. So we have the goal trying to hit it before the end of this live stream. We're currently 53 away. I agree, Sandyford. Call up Lara. Says Michael Murray. 2 dot balls for Josh Hazelwood in this over. That was close to the outside edge of Joshua De Silva. Lures him into playing by putting it on the good length. Just goes outside of the outside edge. And that's the danger of Hazelwood. When he's on, he doesn't often miss his line and length, and that can lead to a lot of opportunities for Australia. Sure, that's very close to the edge of De Silva. In fact, it might even, don't think there's going to be an edge on it, but Snicko could have been interested in that one. I'm surprised that none of the Australians went up for it. They've got their 3 slips and the gully outside off stump. That one actually cutting back in off the seam for Josh Hazelwood, just a little bit further back in the length. 129 Ks, not quite ripping it down there as he normally would, but I believe that is because he's worked out on this pitch. Just a little bit less pace is actually a beneficial thing. I know the West Indies bowlers were getting a little bit of stick. Greaves not being able to bowl at that 135. Roach only bowling 125, but those guys were actually the ones who were sneaking a couple wickets. Shamar Joseph, he was doing the hard work, but Alzarri Joseph, the man with the most pace, was one of the most expensive bowlers for the West Indies. He's now at the crease, at the non-striker's end. Joshua De Silva, another block. 5 dot balls so far for Josh Hazelwood, who I believe will have about a 5 or 6 over spell here. And if he picks up another wicket, he will have 5 in the bag for this innings. He'll be chasing that 10 wicket match. He's only 2 away at this point of the contest. Australia's still quite an attacking field. At the end of the day, they've got 22 runs to work with. Ideally, if you're Australia, you don't want to have to bat again, but there's a chance that you have to. Nice drive from De Silva, but it goes to Marnus Labuschagne. Fields it at cover, and that will be the end of the over. It is a maiden. Silva a little bit frustrated with himself not being able to find the gap. But it was a very strong over from Hazelwood, and the score stays the same at 73 for 6. Cheers, enjoy the commentary. Says David Clemens, and we have got plenty more coming in the near future. We have, of course, got the one coming up between West Indies and Australia next Thursday. That will be the day-night test, where they will be using the pink ball. And I'm curious to see how some of these young West Indian players go in a pink ball test. I mentioned earlier on, some of them hadn't even faced the red ball in international cricket before this test match. And now they've got to try and adapt to a whole new coloured ball. And I know that sounds like something that should be easy to do. A lot of players do struggle in terms of going from white ball cricket to red ball cricket in Test match. But Mitchell Starc added into the bowling attack. Just the one ball to finish Nathan Lyons over, and that was the last ball that he got. They've gone back to pace. Mitchell Starc, 4 overs bowled, 16 for none are his current statistics. They've got the bat pad probably about 10 metres back from the batsman, and I feel like that is just in case it pops up. Alzarri Joseph on strike, play and a miss outside of off stump. He has to make sure his defence is tight here. He actually has to play a very similar role to what we saw Mitchell Starc play in his partnership with Travis Head, which is just be the support man. Don't go after the ball, which he almost did there. He did chase it a little bit outside of his off stump, but he needs to make sure that he can help rebuild this partnership. He doesn't even have to score a lot of runs. I think that Mitchell Starc and Travis Head partnership of around 60, Mitchell Starc maybe got 10 of them. But it just shows that if you've got a man at the other end who can score runs and you keep it ticking over, keep the partnership building, that is where the runs can come from. Left alone by Alzarri Joseph. Outside of off, just a little bit shorter there from Mitchell Starc, getting it down there at 136 Ks. Straight into his work, building his pace as he goes. They've got Labuschagne still fielding at that cover position. Got Nathan Lyon at a little bit of a backward point region. Travis Head at bat pad, and then the slip cordon, of course, Khawaja, Steve Smith, Mitchell Marsh, and then Cam Green in the gully. Got M sorry, says Clyde. What are you sorry for, Clyde? I don't think you need to apologise. As Chanderpaul trying to imitate his father. Imitators always fail, says Casey Brown. See, that's the thing. I don't know whether he's imitating, beautiful shot from Alzarri Joseph. And it's just a play the cover drive. He's timed that to perfection, and it's going to race to the boundary, even though Labuschagne put in the full stretch dive, was unable to catch it. Those are the first runs of the day, and Joseph gets off the mark with a very impressive cover drive for 4 runs. Yeah, I think Chanderpaul, it's not so much, in my opinion, he's not so much imitating his father. It's just that's what he's grown up seeing, and that's probably what he's been taught while growing up. You know, if he's had coaching sessions from his dad, of course you're going to see your dad going sideways and then coming forward. So that's exactly what you're going to think, okay, well, that's what I need to do. That's what technique worked for him. So that's what technique, I assume, would work for me. But sometimes it's different. A bit wider from Starc on the half volley, seeing whether or not Joseph wants to have a lash at it. But he controls himself, doesn't go for it. Best was actually up against New Zealand in Hamilton. 2020, 86 of 125 balls for Alzarri Joseph. That was actually up against the New Zealanders. 2020, did we cover that? I don't think we covered that test match. I think we might have covered one in 2021 for the West Indies. And we have got there a red ball, white ball, don't understand. I'm American, says Robert. So pretty much the difference, well, the main difference is the red ball seems to swing a bit more. Shot. Oops, had a bit of a clap there, but that is a classic cricket drive for Alzarri Joseph. Another 4 runs. Starc is getting hit away to the boundary here. He's bowling freebies, and Alzarri Joseph is saying, yep, why not? I'll have a crack at it. But pretty much, I got a white ball here. So the difference really is red ball cricket normally played during the day, so the red ball a lot easier to see. Whereas when they play either ODI or T20, it's normally nighttime. So they needed a ball that didn't blend in with the darkness. So that's why the white ball is so effective for them. Normally the white ball swings less. That is also down to the fact that the games are played at night. So you've got the overcast conditions not playing as much of a factor. But then recently, another little shot here through the gully region. Alzarri Joseph's going to end up with 2 more runs, and the West Indies get 10 runs off that over. Brilliant over from Alzarri Joseph. Moving up to 10 runs off 7. And like I mentioned, he won't mess around. He knows that they need the runs as quickly as possible rather than taking his time. He'd rather get them over and done with and try and get West Indies into the lead. But yeah, recently they introduced the pink ball, which was for almost a little bit of half and half, which meant that you could see it during the day. You'd still get the swing during the day. And then when it was nighttime, they could continue playing test match cricket for the evening. Now, it's not too late that they go to normally in Test match cricket, like maybe about 11 p.m. or somewhere around there, but it's just so that you can see it a little bit better when it's cutting through the air. And kind of the main thing is being able to see it out of the bowler's hand, because that's what you need so that it's a bit safer for the players. That's why sometimes in a Test match, if it's really dark, we normally see it in Pakistan when it's quite hazy. It means that they have to go off the field earlier than the final ball of the day because they just can't see. Silva, dot ball there. It's a big opportunity for these two. I think they just said the best partnership for this wicket is like 300, I think. Did they just say that? That's huge. Robert has just gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you very much, Robert. Hugely appreciated, mate. Outside of off stump, nicely played by De Silva. Hits down the ground and well fielded by Marnus Labuschagne. A very good explanation on point, says Daniel. So hopefully I didn't miss anything in terms of the reasoning behind each of the balls. But yeah, it's pretty much so that they can play cricket at different times of the day. And, you know, like we play short format and sometimes like it will just be throughout the day, but we still end up using the white ball rather than the red one. I think that's the same for most short format games, 50 overs and less. They are white ball cricket rather than the red ball. Short ball, De Silva went after it. Now that's actually how he was dismissed in the first innings. He chased the short one, caught on the boundary by Travis Head. He still has to be willing to have a bit of a crack every once in a while, but needs to pick his ball. That time it was a little bit too high over his head. Looks like he's not too phased about it for De Silva, but yeah, almost was a wide with the height that it went over his head. Simon Kadich had to retire because he was colourblind, says David Clemens. Isn't colourblind normally to do with mainly greens, though? Oh, no, it's to do with red too, isn't it, actually? Some people who are colourblind can't see red. My dad, one of them, fun fact. That is going to be the single taken by Joshua De Silva. I feel like Alzarri Joseph will enjoy Mitchell Stark's bowling a lot more than he will enjoy Hazelwood's, mainly because Hazelwood will get it right up there just outside of off stump and make it really difficult to whack him away to the boundary. It was well controlled, that pull shot from De Silva, actually played down on top of it. And so Luke Gilead says, Kwasi, welcome in, mate. You are doing very well. Also, we are currently 50 away from our subscriber goal, ladies and gents. So anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Good day, everyone, says Kevin. Welcome in, mate. Hazelwood played that very late. Alzarri Joseph actually chopping it into the ground. West Indies still trailing by 11 runs, ladies and gents, which does mean if they were somehow to lose 4 wickets in quick succession before hitting those 11 runs, the Australians would win by the innings and however many runs are remaining. But another 11 runs and Australia have to bat again. Now, we've seen some pretty low totals scored by sides bowling, or batting, sorry, in Australia. Normally, it is the Australians bowling when a side is bowled out cheaply. Well, that one came back in. Well, watched by Alzarri Joseph. Hits it to the man at mid-wicket. Just the 1 run off it. And it will be now 6 for 84. De Silva on strike to Mitchell Stark. His bowling style, you call it erratic, but it's effective. Sometimes he gets that wicket that is much needed for the Australians. Share the video, says Kwasi. And listening from Jamaica, says Gordon Dixon there too. And I should mention, if you guys enjoy these type of live streams, if you also just love cricket, that pinned comment that I've got is a link to our latest GoPro cricket video. So what that is it's actually me playing in a match. We got the GoPro on the umpire, so you are able to see everything that is happening, as well as later on there will be a batting GoPro angle from myself at the crease, playing shots, trying to get some runs. And it's actually a final that we were playing, and this Aussie side is tough, says Kwasi. They certainly are. They do not give you many free opportunities to score runs, which is why for the West Indies, they've realised when that opportunity does arise, they need to take it. Josh De Silva on strike to Stark. Pitches it up and gets it to move across him. Normally brings it back in to the right-hander, but he decides to change the seam a little bit there. Get it cutting away, and love from the West Indies, says Lenroy. Welcome in. Also welcome. Welcome, I am here, says Patrick. He's just got the fingers across the seam there, Mitchell Starc. And it just goes away from De Silva at the last moment. Should mention we are 15 minutes into what can be a 2-hour session for the West Indies batting. That's nicely glided by De Silva. Got it to backward point where Nathan Lyon was waiting. It's just about playing the ball late and big up all the yard man. Says Kawasi there. Yeah, the next test match starting at 5 p.m. on Thursday next week. Like I said, that's around a midnight start for you guys who are in North America as well as the Caribbean, which is actually classed as North America. Fun fact. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the West Indies go on their first pink ball test, whether they can get the job done up against this Australian side, because they've shown in this test match that when they get it right, they can be in a contest. Oh, De Silva pulls, it's in the air, and he's out. He's done the same thing as he did in the first innings, tried to play the pull shot, didn't hit it along the ground, didn't get enough of it to hit it for 6, and he has thrown his wicket away 2 innings in a row. That was the partnership that needed to build, and now it's a wicket. The West Indies are looking done. The bottle, says Patrick. Yeah, just tries to pull it across. Hazelwood in the deep. He's hardly put a foot wrong across the 3 days, so of course he's not going to drop that catch. Starc picks up his man, and now the West Indies tail has to try and build that 11 runs at least here. Good day, sir. Says Glanston, good. Welcome in. Just as the wicket falls, no matter what, I have faith in my West Indies, says Kevin. Yeah, it's just I don't know how else to say it for Joshua De Silva. It's going to sound harsh, but it's just stupidity, you know. You can't play the pull shot in the air. Like they're saying on the commentary, they have to change his strategy. Twice in a row, they've bowled short, he's pulled it, and he hasn't timed it, which has meant that he's just pretty much tapped it to the guy. They're going to keep on bowling him short stuff as well. Throughout that next test match, they will eventually get that wicket if he doesn't change something. Tries to play it above his head. Should have ducked under that one, which I know is a hard skill to learn, definitely when you want to be an attacking batsman. But you can see again the same disappointment as he had in the first innings when he played the exact same shot. Nathan Lyon was laughing in the background going, hey, that looks familiar. A good catch from Hazelwood. Now it is going to be Gudakesh Moti making his way to the middle. Has to try and get these 11 runs. Alzadi Joseph, he was already being the aggressor when De Silva was at the crease. Now takes a little bit of a seniority role. Now Moti on strike. Mitchell Starc steaming in outside off stump, left alone by Moti, who was able to get himself 1 run in the first innings. Got a little bit unlucky, but saying that, he did throw away his wicket, tried to chase the wrong ball, and ended up skying it to Nathan Lyon at point. And if he's just watched that wicket of De Silva, he will know that he cannot afford to do that again. West Indies have about 12 person playing in South Africa, who is doing well. We are here struggling. That is poor selection, says Patrick. Although it just shows that Test match cricket slowly is starting to not dwindle, but just go down the rankings in terms of player priority. Down the leg side, left alone by Muddy again. Are you doing the South Africa versus New Zealand commentary? We are hoping to. And it should be a pretty awesome test match, even though South Africa have gone with a much weaker side than a lot of people would have liked to see. We are still covering it on the channel as well. And speaking of South Africa, Drakus du Plessis fighting in the UFC this weekend up against Sean Strickland. That fight at the moment, odds-wise, is 50-50. It's going to be an awesome one. I think you guys want to see us doing a stream for it, if I'm not wrong. So we'll see how we're going. Maybe we do the main event between Strickland and du Plessis. See if South Africa can once again become a world champion. Side off, Moti playing a miss. And that will be the end of a wicket maiden over for Mitchell Starc, picking up the wicket on the third ball of Joshua De Silva, who threw his wicket away. And now 7 for 84. We have Gadea, I don't know, but these, yes, says Kevin. And there as well. Trailing by 11 still. West Indies batting, failing them. Says Balewa. See, I'd almost extend on that and say it's not so much their batting, but it's their decision making. Now, the shots that we're seeing some of these experienced players playing and getting out to is something you'd expect from one of these young guys on debut. But De Silva, like I just mentioned, playing that pull shot that he hasn't timed very well at all throughout the series. All of this is De Silva's fault. I wouldn't say it's completely his fault. He hasn't had a good test match, though, unfortunately. Dropping the early catcher, Usman Khawaja, then also getting dismissed in cheap fashion for both of his innings. We have got their psychology missing, says Kevin there. Yeah, to be honest, most of the West Indies guys, it's the young guys who are really stepping up and showing that they want to win this. Shamar Joseph, perfect example. He's in the hunt every single ball that he bowls. When he was batting, he was showing intent. Alzari Joseph, his batting is good. His bowling at the moment, it seems like at times he's just running in for the sake of running in. He's just had a big swing and a miss there to Josh Hazlewood. Hasn't been able to connect. A few of these other young guys, though, Greaves, I think, has been phenomenal this test match. Him and Shamar Joseph, for me, are the two players who have stepped up alongside, to a certain extent, Kirk McKenzie. Another man who hasn't had a huge amount of test match experience for the Windies, but he was top run scorer in the first innings. He might end up being top run scorer in the second innings. Yes, Bolt Khawaja could have been out on 3 and the Aussies would have been under pressure, says Jaden. Although the problem that you've got with the Australians is it's not always a guarantee that if you take one of those early wickets, you're going to get the next one, if that makes sense. Because of Khawaja still being out there, perhaps that is why Steve Smith went out. I know it's a bit of a stretch, you could say, but Steve Smith, maybe he wouldn't have been dismissed if Khawaja wasn't dropped. Same with Marnus Labuschagne. Perhaps he wouldn't have played that shot if they weren't only one down. Shot selection is poor from the Windies batsman, says Michael Perry. And yeah, that kind of comes with experience, although in De Silva's case, it hasn't. He just needs to try and take that shot out of his arsenal. It's actually a similar thing to what they did to Travis Head a while ago, was they realised he liked to play off the back foot, and he'd eventually hit one of his pull shots poorly and get caught. The problem they've got at the moment with Travis Head is he gets about 50 runs before he does go out with that pull shot now. It's a young team. I love them, says Davis. And I mentioned it earlier on. I'm still selecting some of these young guys over the guys who ditched them for the T20 leagues. Like Jason Holder, I honestly feel like from the last 12 months, maybe Greaves is the future. Stick him at 6. His fielding's phenomenal. And just the energy that he brings to the team is something you want. Nicely bowled by Josh Hazlewood again. 4 dot balls in a row here because they are not selected. They should mix their team new and old, says Patrick. Yeah, I think that a few of those guys from T20 will come back. But I still feel like a few of these young guys have really stepped up. And a few of the older players who are playing T20, they might be watching this test match going, geez, we might have just lost our spot, boys. And we're calling on Lara to help coach the team, says Kevin. And yes, such a huge amount of knowledge for Brian Lara. Even when he was doing his batting yesterday during the lunch break, it was just so insightful, learning from the great batsman himself, who is hosting the T20 World Cup. It is co-hosted by the USA and also the Caribbean. So a little bit of both. But yeah, it will be coming up, I believe, later on this year. We will get to see that T20 World Cup. End of the Hazlewood over. He's once again been very tight, not giving away too many runs at all. Monty sitting on 0 off 3. He will now have the strike. Jason Holder finished 2 years ago. Says Changing Lives broadcast. I agree. He's been in there, I think, a little bit longer than he should have been. But he was getting picked because of that height, and they assumed that that height would come with extra bounce. But when he's only chucking it down there at 120, he is not getting that same effectiveness. Amoti to try and work out how to deal with Mitchell Starc. I think Starc might have actually been the man who got him in the first innings. Or it might have actually been Pat Cummins. My apologies. All taking the quick single down the ground. Well done from the West Indies. And that's what they need to do. They still have 10 runs that they have to cut down on. So just rotate the strike. keep the bowlers guessing. Will now be Alzarri Joseph back on strike. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are 45 away from the goal by the end of this live stream. So if you do want to help us get there, please do hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. And we are back for the next test match. We're back for the ODI T20 series for the West Indies. There's always a lot of fun watching them play cricket. And I'll be honest, I always find these live streams a lot of fun as well because we get to see so many new people that we haven't met before. Joseph, and it's just a worker to that backward point region. It looks like Nathan Lyon will be able to cut it off. But once again, Alzarri Joseph gets the 2 runs. He's actually only working in even numbers at the moment. He has had 2 4s and he has had 2 that they have got 2 runs off. Hi, brother. Good morning, says Harsh Singh. Welcome in, mate. Yeah, been keeping well. If you're enjoying the action, 8 runs is all the West Indies need so that we get to see Australia bat again. And like I said, even if they can't win this test match with a small lead, they can still get a couple early wickets to dishearten a couple Aussie batsmen. Jason Ottapurin, Hitmeyer, and Shai Hope need to be added. Says Khalid, although some of those guys, like I said, are playing in the T20 league, so they weren't available for selection, opting to go with the short format rather than long. So the West Indies, they were always going to have a slightly, I guess, undercooked team is the best way of describing it, or an inexperienced team heading into this test. I have to say, though, like, the scoreboard, I feel, doesn't quite represent the skill and the fight that the West Indies have shown in this test match. But, yeah, unfortunately for them, they do find themselves in a very tough position. This partnership needs to be huge. Of course, the last partnership for the West Indies was their largest in the first innings, that partnership being between Shamar Joseph as well as Kumar Roach. Hi, bro. Good morning, afternoon, evening, says Salhin. Welcome in. What's the time in New Zealand? It's 5:30 here in India, so currently it is 1 p.m. here in New Zealand. Love listening to you commentating, bro. Love from Jamaica. Says Michael, thank you very much, mate. And like I said, it's very greatly appreciated you guys all popping in for these live streams. Love to see a 50 for one of the West Indies players, but I would also love to see Josh Hazlewood get 2 wickets of the last 3, mainly because like he just deserves it. The way that he's bowled in this test match, nothing less than 10 wickets feels right for him. But that's a good ball from Stark once again, getting it to go across. Great to see West Indies playing and watching. So here's David, and also some of those, or these who was playing in this match after a while. They've gone to the IPL and Big Bash games. I forgot about, and forget about West Indies cricket, says Patrick. Yeah. And unfortunately, like, there's a lot of money in T20. Not much money in test match cricket as it is slowly dwindling in terms of the numbers. But I'm hoping that they can find a way of changing that. And also it's time to bye-bye West Indies, says Saliheen. And West Indies is bad to the rest of the world. What do you think, Coach, says Dale? I don't think so. I think that people for the West Indies often look at what has happened in the past in terms of their classic bowling attack, the 1980s, when they were just running rampage. But we've got to remember all good things eventually do come to an end when it comes to those players. They are eventually going to retire. The new blood has to come into the side. Australia could find themselves in a little bit of a similar boat in about 5 years' time because 9 of their starting 11 are over the age of 30. Some of their players, Steve Smith, he's 35. How many more years does he have? Khawaja, similar boat. But for the West Indies, one thing you cannot deny about them, no matter if they are losing a test or they are losing a T20, winning it, they are entertaining. And they bring the passion and they bring the fun to cricket, which I feel like in some regards, sometimes we're lacking. You know, that's why a lot of the guys in the T20 competitions, people love watching them because you know they're going to be exciting. They're going to charge in and they're going to make sure that they put on a show. Hello, Hamish. What are your thoughts on the Coral Coast Sevens happening in Fiji? Says Nadra. I haven't actually seen too much of it at this stage, unfortunately. Hazlewood now continuing his spell. Wants to pick up those wickets, and West Indies need an academy for cricket. The Caribbean system is poor, says Kevin. Yeah, like funding to a certain extent does impact how the West Indies have gone in the last little while. Do you find after Holder lost his captaincy, he lost world-class ability? Says Jaden, I think he just realised that he can get paid a lot of money playing short format and thought to himself, why bother playing 5 days when I can bowl 4 overs, maybe bat for 10 balls and get paid $1 million for the season? So I don't think it's so much that he, from losing the captaincy, he lost his ability, because he's still a world-class player, but he just, I don't know, he seems too content in a way. And great to see the West Indies playing and watching, says David Clemens. I should mention there, Hazelwood bowling a no ball. That is one of the first ones we have seen from him. So it's an extra run, and it means that the West Indies now will only trail by 6 runs. And Honor says Kawasi and West Indies for life, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Says changing lives broadcast. And bro, your actual name says Harsh Singh, so it is Hamish. Which I don't think is very common in the West Indies or in India that I can think of. West Indies need to treat better, encourage Sweden Labour. Says, it was there from Patrick. But yeah, I like these new players that have been brought in. I feel like, in fact, most of them have really stepped up. The one who struggled the most out of the debutants, you'd probably say, I feel like they've done decently. You know, the middle order struggled a little bit, but, you know, Greaves has impressed me. Shamar Joseph also doing well, all short ball. And Alzari Joseph has to get underneath it. On a different note, can't wait to see what Scott Robinson has in stock, says Kawasi, and he will be a little bit the same in terms of maybe not quite having the talent pool that he'll want from the get-go, but he'll look at it as a building experience for the ABs, because the All Blacks are going to look completely different in the next kind of 2 or so years because of all the players going overseas, taking the money. So he won't have as many players there to select from, but I think that building the youth system for New Zealand rugby will be pretty important for him. Hazelwood now, 3 balls bowled, Joseph in behind it. He doesn't want to move from the crease, not throwing away his wicket. As the West Indies, they do still trail, but they only trail by the 6 runs. They've got the 3 wickets in hand. Shamar Joseph, when he makes his way to the middle, I believe we will see quite a few aggressive shots. They're batting his ball, especially the openers, who are supposed to set the tone. There's the lawn, and that's really the difference between the West Indies and some of the other top sides around the world. You look at Australia, even when they were struggling a little bit for their top order, they still managed to put on maybe, let's say, 100 runs, somewhere around there. Whereas for the West Indies, they were 2 wickets down for 1 run. So that does hurt you. And I'll be honest, McKenzie, both innings tried to rebuild, but he just didn't have the support around him, and he ended up losing that wicket eventually. Our local competition is a joke. We don't play enough cricket home, plus the money temptation. The side is good, just inexperienced. Hope Chandapal, says Vaughan. And also New Zealand need to do what South Africa do, start selecting players, play abroad, says Kawasi. And there, yeah, it could be something they look at, although they seem pretty content on not changing their selection policy. Nice drive, that's beautiful. But it goes straight to the fielder and Labuschagne. Close out the Hazelwood over. Just the 2 runs off it, 1 for the no ball and 1 for the single. I think the silver should go, says Anthony. Although, I guess the big question is, who is your next wicketkeeper for the West Indies? Do let me know, because I honestly don't know the West Indies depth as well as I used to in terms of who are the next guys lining up. So if Joshua De Silva isn't the wicketkeeper, who would you say is your next guy that they could go with? Got there. Good night, guys. Enjoying the comments. It's 8 p.m. in Barbados. Team needs to put some runs on the board. Wish the team well, says Aiden. And also, Joshua has been grossly disappointing. No reason to get out twice the same way. It means he doesn't learn, says Dunstan. Yeah, it's just a lack of, I don't, it's a hard one to explain without sounding like I'm really being harsh on it. But like I said, it was just a stupid shot to play the first time, and an even stupider shot to play the second time that he played it. Nicely worked to leg side by Motti. De Silva should bat at 6 in the order, my opinion. Says Kevin, although the problem that they've got for De Silva is if he's going to throw his wicket away, then doesn't matter where he is in the batting order. If he is going to go out playing silly shots, the amount of times we've seen him go out to that exact playing shot this year or even like the last season, it's far too high. Covering New Zealand, Pakistan, I don't believe we will be for today, but I will be watching it. New Zealand currently 3-0 up in the series. I'm hoping Pakistan bat first. I feel like the trend at the moment has been New Zealand bat first. They set a total that's way too high for Pakistan to chase down, and then Pakistan lose by anywhere between 20 and 40 runs because they can't get the runs that New Zealand got. Played very late for Alzarri Joseph. I should mention Mitchell Starc actually going round the wicket now for facing with Alzarri Joseph. And by the way, love your commentary, says Harsh Singh. Thank you very much, mate. But we will be covering that New Zealand versus South Africa test match, which is happening early February. Of course, also West Indies versus Australia, the next test match starting next Thursday. We will be doing it on the channel as well. Now, should mention that is actually Wednesday, I believe, in the Caribbean. Anyone wondering? But Mitchell Starc, good pace being shown. Tries the bouncer. I think Hope should open with Brathwaite. Not Chanderpaul. He should bat at 3. Says DeLorme. Okay. So what would you do with Mackenzie DeLorme? Would you keep him in? At the end of the day, got himself highest score in the first innings. Probably highest score in the second innings of the West Indies. Batting in tough conditions in Australia. Would you give him more chances near the top of the order? Perhaps 4 could be a spot that you give him. And also the West Indies do not have a test wicketkeeper other than De Silva, says Giron. And I think that makes it difficult, doesn't it? Because if you haven't got another option as a test match keeper, it means that even if De Silva is out of form, you've still got to select him because there's no other option. And Thursday in the Caribbean, bro, says changing lives. I know it is currently, but that test match next week, I believe, is a start on a Wednesday night for you guys in the Caribbean. Yeah, currently sitting Friday here in New Zealand. It's a bit warm as well, 25 degrees Celsius. I put him at 4 and Athenaeus at 5, says DeLorme. Okay, so who's the guy you're taking out? Would it be Hodge, I guess, maybe? And why not play Purin? I think he's gone to short format. I think he's playing in the T20s. So he wasn't available for selection. Another short ball. Joseph goes in the air. It's gone over the slip cordon. Got a little bit of luck on his side. And now the West Indies, they will trail by 1 singular run. More than likely, ladies and gents, we are going to see Australia batting today. It says they're 9 in the Caribbean. Says Aiden in there as well. And they have Deutsch before they replaced him with Silva. Says Michael, I agree with you. I like this team's youngsters, the future. I just stay with this team. Stop chopping and changing. If you can play red ball, you should be able to play white ball also. Says Patrick. And don't think Purin wants to play tests, says DeLorme. And to be fair, some players just don't suit test match cricket. That's not to say he wouldn't do well. That's just to say that maybe, as a player and sometimes as a batsman, you lose interest in the test match side of things because if you're not batting, you're standing in the field for a couple of days and, when you go to, there was an edge there. And unfortunately, Alzarri Joseph has just played a false shot. That will be the 8th wicket, and they are still down by 1 run. A hat-trick here for Mitchell Starc, or 2 more wickets for the Australians before a run is scored, will mean that Australia will not have to bat again. Change to silver batting order, because he could bat better down the order, says Giron. And also there is another keeper, Boone, says it was there from Nolan, and this is where more local cricket comes in. You see more people to choose from, says Vaughan Edwards. Who do you think will win the upcoming T20 World Cup? I think that Australia or India probably have the best bet. At the moment, Alzarri Joseph, disappointing way to go out, 16 off 30. He has got more runs than he did in the first innings, but he just kind of left the bat out there, let it hit off it, and then straight to Alex Carey. Shy Hope, looking for money in the IPL, not interested in test, says Melvin. And that's the thing, because there's so much money in the short format, it takes away a lot of great players who, to be honest, there's so many guys now that could be phenomenal test match players, but they choose to play the short format, and nothing against them. They've got to do what's best for them, got to do what's best for their families, but in the process, it means that Test match cricket is slowly dying, unfortunately, is the only way you can put it. It's going to be disappearing, and it's going to become a lot less popular because there'll be a lot less of the big names playing in it. That's why a lot of people like T20, because you get to see best players all around the world getting that chance. Bring back, says Noel. Now, 8 down for the West Indies. They currently trail by the 1 run, and it will be Kumar Roach who makes his way out to the middle at number 10. Was the last ball of the Stark over. He had gone for 5 runs before that point. I think Hazelwood will continue. It's all about the money, love, passion for the game is gone, says Patrick. But I think that's also because it's hard to find the passion when there is such big money available in those short formats, if that makes sense. Like, for a lot of these players, definitely the ones who are later on in their careers, they know they've only got maybe 5 years max left. So why not cash in and make a whole heap of money so that after your cricket career is over, you don't have to work. You've got that money built up. Oh, he's embarrassing them. Says Dry Tone Down Under. And West Indies had a really good player, that Anthony guy, 5 wicket on debut. Don't think many will remember him. Says Michael Davis, Anthony. No, I'm thinking Shannon Gabriel. How long ago was his debut, Michael Davis? Was it up against New Zealand in 2020, or am I thinking a different guy? Yeah, they need to learn how to catch and sledge. Bring back Dork. And also we have got there, but they are not playing any T20 games as of now, are they? I don't think Shai Hope is playing in the SA20. Says Vitraj. Yeah, some of the guys are just not wanting to be selected in the West Indies Test match team. Why not just play a test and then go play T20 when there are games? Oh, he's being bowled. Motti straight through him. And that will be his 5. But now, as bad as it is for Motti, much deserved 5 for Josh Hazelwood. He has bowled phenomenally throughout this test match. And now that is actually the same way he was able to get a wicket in the first innings. The left, I think it was maybe, was it Nathazane? Was it? Who did he get in the first innings? I think it was Athanase, sorry. He's a beater. Says no. West Indies still down by 1 run, ladies and gents. Australia may not need to bat. Are we going to see a Josh Hazelwood 10-wicket match here? Or are we even going to see Australia bat? This has gone downhill quickly. Motti, as well as the other batsman, Alzari Joseph. The partnership was gone. The set batsmen are gone. And now they need to build their partnership just like these two did in the first innings. Kumar Roach one end, and the youngster on debut, Shamar Joseph. Now, they did put on about a 55-run partnership in the first innings, so there's potential. But at this point, Hazelwood has been, for me, the man of the match with the way that he has been able to bowl here. Travis Head, of course, with his batting would get an honourable mention, but I feel like Hazelwood's work with the ball has just been so strong, so consistent. So yeah, I do expect a man of the match coming his way. Definitely if he does get his 10th wicket for the match. I will mention, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently only 38 away from our goal that we have by the end of this live stream. Now, I will mention, with those quick wickets falling, the end of the live stream might be a little bit closer than we first anticipated already. Though we're seeing some runs scored by Shamar Joseph. He's actually worked that away to the boundary. Now, we didn't get to see that shot as they were showing ads here in New Zealand. But Shamar Joseph has now got the West Indies a lead, and Australia will now have to bat. West Indies are garbage, have been and will always be, says Akeem. You obviously haven't watched the old school cricket then, Akeem, because the West Indies for a long time were the best side in the world. Hazelwood disappointed with that one. Gives a little bit of an acknowledgement of, yep, that was a good shot from the youngster Shamar Joseph. But yeah, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ladies and gents, as we are very close to that goal. Only about 36 away. As best as 36 in first-class cricket. His test debut was impressive too, nicely played. I think that we'll find him going up the order in the near future because he looks like a very good bat. Like they're saying, he hasn't got a bat sponsor at this stage, Shamar Joseph. He's just a small town boy. Now gets that big opportunity on the grandest stage up against the top test side in the world. Hazelwood is absolutely phenomenal in this test at Adelaide. There were talks of whether he would even play in this test match. Short ball, nicely glided, well handled by Shamar Joseph. They will get back for the easy 2, and that will also now bring the West Indies up to 100 runs. Also, the West Indies are not doing well. I will lose my night's rest to watch them. I love my cricket. I am a true Western cricketer. No matter what happens or who is playing, says Patrick. And that is something that I have said multiple times that I admire about a lot of you supporters from the Caribbean. Like, no matter what's happening with your side, you will still show up. You will still show them support. And, you know, for the players in particular, like, that will mean a lot. There's a lot of teams around the world that when they're playing badly, their whole supporter base turns their back on them. Perfect example, sorry to bring it up, the Blitzbox Sevens. The South Africa Sevens side, they were on top of the world. Massive win streak. Huge amount of support. They start losing games. Their fan base, in terms of the support that we saw for them, dropped by about 85%. And then no one was watching them. They started winning games again. All of a sudden, some people start coming back going, hey, look who's doing well. So for the West Indies, it's that fan base who stick by them that they will greatly appreciate. Beautiful cover drive this time from Kumar Roach. 4 more runs on the board here for the West Indies. Why do these two make batting look so easy compared to the rest of the West Indian lineup? Regardless, we need Joseph to bat at about 4 next games, says Kevin. Hope that we learn from this test that test match is 5-day, not 1 or 2. From Jamaica, says Ali. And South African fans are something else, says Kawasi. Would you agree in that statement, Kawasi, about the kind of Sevens side of things, though? How it was everyone loved them and then it kind of, like, no one showed them support? From Guyana, living in Brooklyn. Love you guys, says Proper Music. Thank you very much for being here, mate. Stark now bowling again. Just pushing at it there for Roach. They won't get the set. Oh, no, they do scamper through for the 1 run. So Roach moves to 5 runs off 2. Shamar Joseph's on 6 off 3. And the West Indies now have the lead of 10 runs. And would love to see West Indies get a partnership right here to about 50 runs. Get Shamar Joseph to bowl a bit. See how he manages. Probably get a wicket or 2, says Michael. And yeah, like I mentioned, like in this scenario, West Indies, they may not have much of a chance of winning this test match, but they can still cause a little bit of a problem to the top order for Australia. Because if Aussie lose 3 or 4 wickets early, that's really going to annoy them. And they'll have to go back to the drawing board, look at all the footage, try and work out why they were losing their wickets. Yes, you are, says Kawasi. I think personally the openers need to step up. Big time coming in next test match, says DeLorme. I agree. I think that it's so important that Chanderpaul and Braithwaite deliver. Now, last time they played in Australia, they actually didn't do too badly. Worked the leg side from Shamar Joseph, who's slowly become a fan favourite at the Adelaide Oval. Crowd are cheering him every time he touches that ball. And these two batters says, given an 80-run partnership, Australia all out for 65. Imagine the scenes if that was the case. I know that the West Indies currently, in terms of their win percentage chance, is about 0.5. But let's see how it goes. I feel for the fans. Would have at least been nice to see Australia chase 150 at least, says Claude. Yeah, I think, to be honest, 150 almost, I feel, could have been enough on this Adelaide Oval surface. It's doing enough. To be fair, I think that day 3, it looks like it's a little bit flatter compared to some of the previous days we've had. It's just the fact that the lower order are batting now for the West Indies rather than the top order. And we can't win. I've stir the pot a little with Shamar Joseph as the new ball with Greaves. Yeah, like, if they can get Steve Smith out, that is the big goal, I would say, for the West Indies. Because you dismiss him for 12 in the first innings, dismiss him for about 5 in the second. He's not a guy who likes going out, Steve Smith. So that would heavily frustrate him. He's already just doing a little bit of shadow batting in the slip cordon. It's like the tails should bat first, says Ali Richards. I mean, I know that in some of the younger grades, sometimes they switch the order around. You put your tail enders first and then you put your openers last, just to have a bit of fun. But the West Indies at the moment, their tail's scoring their runs. So the West Indies cricket is due to a lack of vision by Cricket West Indies. I agree that every test team has had its low point, but West Indies has been down for too long, says Dunstan. And also we'll go there to West Indies test garbage juice, says Keston. Although I will still stick with my statement of even with them struggling in this test match, it's been a very entertaining one. The West Indies, some of their players have really stepped up. They've shown a lot of heart. Shamar Joseph, we have seen a star be born today. Not literally, he's probably about 22. I don't think they'd let an infant play a test match cricket game. Definitely not against Australia. They'd probably bowl him a bouncer. That's the attacking mindset that the Aussies have. What happened to Shannon Gabriel? I remember him playing very well against New Zealand. It's a good question. I think he ended up with an injury, and I'm not sure what he did from there. He may have gone to short format. Fans cheering Shamar, because they want to see the showdown between Smith and him again, says Claude. Who wants to play test cricket when millions can be made from the T20, says Winston. Exactly right. And that is unfortunately the reality that cricket finds itself in at the moment is why would you want to spend 5 days working your backside off when you could spend 2 hours doing your thing and then you're going home, or 3 hours? Good night, Kiwi. We'll fight to the end, says St. Clair Mayers. It is great to have you once again here, viewing from Dominica. For Melchior, welcome in. And win or lose, I'm proud to be a West Indian. Why is the Silver playing? Where is Dorwish? I think someone said he's retired. Maybe, I'm not going to lie. I just watch highlights for the T20, but somehow I end up watching hours of test match cricket. Says Vidraj. I'm a bit the same. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a game of T20 every once in a while, but test match cricket just for me feels like the best form of cricket in terms of like just mentally draining for the players, but challenging. It's got its ups and its downs, and everything can change in one ball. T20, you're going to see a lot more boundaries and everything along those lines. They're just showing the 2 dismissals of Joshua De Silva. Like I mentioned, dismissed in pretty similar fashion. Got that second shot a little bit better than his first, but still went out. Hazelwood now shot down the ground from Shamar Joseph. It's another boundary. In the first innings, he ruined Josh Hazelwood's stats in terms of the amount of runs he had gone for. Now, he's doing it again in the second. They have no love for Gabriel, always dropping his bowling catches, says Giron. And 1 a.m., 58 following. West Indies from about 7. I can't stop no matter what, says Ali. And off to sleep, it is currently 12:23 in the UK, says Kawasi. So it is been great to have you here, Kawasi. And also, I should mention, we got the Champions Cup this weekend. So I assume we might see you popping in maybe for a little bit of that. If not, hopefully South Africa, New Zealand's series. With you commentating, I will definitely listen to Test cricket, says Daniel. And yeah, we will be doing the next Test match as well, ladies and gents, between the West Indies and Australia. It is starting next week, a little bit later on in the week, and it is a pink ball test. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And they have no love for Gabriel. And test cricket is real cricket, says Changing Lives broadcast. Yeah, for me, growing up, I always, if I had to pick what format I'd love to play, it was test match cricket. Like, even when you play backyard cricket, you just want someone to bowl to you for hours and hours. Yes, that's extremely hard to do. But, yeah, you just want to bat time. It's a good time. Take some batting practice, says Shafi. And Shannon is lazy, says Noel. And Silver is out of form. He is, unfortunately. We'll go there. West Indies will do better in the second test match, says Patrick Davey. And who do you think will play World Test Championship finals this time? I think we're looking at one of the sides, that being Australia. And to be honest, it will probably be India again. Across from them, short ball. Jumped onto that one. Shamar Joseph, beautiful pull shot. And another 4 runs. The Windies lead has gone up to 19. I apologise that the scoreboard hasn't been updated. There we go. That looks a lot better for them. I think Cricket West Indies need to install the passion of test cricket in the younger players. Test matches teaches a lot. Helps to build character. I love Cricket Go Cricket. And what's the updated score, says Ahmad? So they are now sitting 114 on the board. Why does it take so long for the scoreboard to be updated? It's a bit weird. Sometimes it updates with my mouse in a certain place, but pretty much I have to have my mouse in a little tiny box or else it won't update. Oh, big swing. Sounded like there was almost an edge on that one. I'm 100% behind the West Indies. Come on, boys, says Harold. Silver could learn something, says Jaden. Yep, perfect example of how to play that shot. Hit it all on the ground. No risk in it. Next shot that he tried to play, a lot of risk in it. He missed it completely. But, yeah, the Silver's wickets that fell they were disappointing. How can West Indies win from here? What would be their strategy? Well, they have to try and get at least, and I'm talking at least 50 runs minimum to even have a little slither of a hope. And I'm talking, if they got the 50 runs, that's probably about a 0.7% chance of winning. But it's not impossible. If they can get 100 runs somehow from here, these last two showed that they can get a 50-run partnership. If they end up with 100 here, then maybe, just maybe, they still have the shot. After his first inning, Shamar, I should have batted up the order at the start of play, says Hamad. Yeah, he would have been a handyman to send in as I was going to say to send in as a night watchman, but saying that we don't know how strong his defence is. We know he's good when he's attacking the ball, but yeah, I think he's shown that he's probably about a number 9 batsman for the West Indies. Drop to Silver and play who? Says Winston, and that's the big problem that they've got. They don't really have that next guy who's really stepped up. Someone said Carty should replace De Silva. Australia will win the World Test Championship again. Yeah, it's the tricky part of who's next. Viraj, they tried to all-out Aussies at 15. Now, I should mention, though, we have seen an Australian side be bowled out for that many. The Sydney Thunder, it wasn't quite their international team, of course, but we've seen a side bowled out for under that 20 mark in Australia before. For my part, De Silva, I should take a back seat. Says Melcher, and West Indies need to let the bowlers open the batting and let the batsmen come in as the tail enders. West Indies will have competitive total to work with, says Dale. And if the West Indies can hold out to the second session of frustrate Australia and force the bowling mistake to score, we can get a few runs that we can defend with our bowling lineup, says Michael. India were all out for 36, so says Vidraj. Exactly. So 50 runs minimum. As now Joseph is the best 11 I've seen all my life, no jokes. He's got a really good technique. Shot. That's going to be another 4 runs. This time it is Kumar Roach who has hit it to the boundary. I feel like Shandapal is going to be dropped, like he isn't scoring any runs. He didn't do well against India last year, Kiwi lads. Says PXL, yeah, and it's tricky because Brathwaite every once in a while gives you that big innings. Chandapal has been yet to do that. He's kind of got quite a few good starts, but doesn't turn it into hundreds very often. Do you reckon Windies playing better than Pakistan? Yep, 100%. The reason I say that, they've taken their chances. They've only dropped 1 catch throughout this series so far. That was Joshua De Silva, of course, a man who we have been saying has been a little bit out of form. Craig Brathwaite has to be careful as well. I don't think they'll drop him, though, mainly because he is the captain, so they're more likely to drop Chandapal, I think, if they were going to. Nice and solid in mine at for Roach. And thanks for the coverage, mate. Good work. Keep it up. Francis Glasgow from Guyana via New York. They're from Francis. Now, I should mention, once again, Australia have struggled to take that last wicket. They actually average about 22 for the last wicket partnership, no matter who they play. Currently, this partnership has moved up to 24 of 18 deliveries. It's their mindset swinging off the ball on their stump. They should be playing cautious. And Alder usually play test right. He normally does, but he is now playing in short format competitions. I think he's in the SA 20 currently. Unless they take away his captaincy, give someone else the captaincy. Yeah, but the slight problem they've got is, who do you give the captaincy to? Yes, Alder plays test cricket, but he's a bit washed out right now, not going to lie. Because the only other real options of experience is either Roach or De Silva, really. They're about your only 2 experienced guys. And if De Silva's out of form, he probably doesn't want the captaincy alongside it. Same thing happened in the Pakistan series, last wicket stand of almost 100. Says Hamad. He wants more bread, so he chose T10. Says PXL. And the 2 openers is the problem, not taking the bowling apart. Says Gurin. Australia are the boss, and it's not my opinion, it's a fact. Says NSA, nice pitched up delivery. Roach once again glides it out deep. They will get at least the 2 runs. Nathan Lyon having to cover a lot of turf at the moment, fielding in the deep. Stark has gone for 6 runs already off this over. The lead is up to 25 for the West Indies. And want at least 200 leads, says Harsh Singh. And the 2 openers need to go for the second test, says Melvin. Although I don't know whether or not they'll change both of them in one go. I think they'll have to keep at least one, so maybe Chanderpaul is the man who gets taken out. Although we also have to remember Chanderpaul, he's done pretty well in close. That bat pad role, he's taken a couple crucial catches for the West Indies. Take a chance to give a young guy captaincy, says Vidraj. Braithwaite looks good when he stays in, says no. Yeah, it's just about getting through those first maybe 20 or so runs for Braithwaite. On the lead side, nicely taken by Alex Carey. That'll be the end of the Stark over. 120 for 9 now. What does it mean when the West Indies lead by 25 runs? Says PXL. So because we have got 2 innings batting for both of these sides, it means that the West Indies, pretty much any runs that they get here, when they are bowled out, Australia will have to try and get those runs to win the test match. So Australia have batted once. They got their 283 runs. West Indies, they got 188 in their first batting performance. Second, they're sitting on the 120 currently. But yeah, that number of 25 needs to get up to at least 50 to have even just a tiny bit of hope to win this one. But they're trying and they're working hard, the West Indies. It is great to see. Should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently 33 away from the goal that we had by the end of this test match. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, we've got plenty more cricket coming up in the near future. West Indies versus Australia starting next week in the day-night test. So it will be a little bit of a later start for you guys supporting the West Indies. But we will be here on the channel doing it as well. Rain, says Jaden. Tell you what, rain would impact this test match drastically. That is for sure. The West Indies has a good bowling attack, not going to lie. Says PXL. And also Shamar Joseph is bowling well. Says, it was there from PXL. Yeah, Shamar Joseph is literally a diamond in the rough. Somehow they've found him from nowhere. And he's going to be a future superstar. As long as he stays fit. And as long as he just keeps doing what he's doing. He'll do extremely well. How can I watch this match? Depends on whereabouts you are, PXL. If you're in Australia, it's available on 7. West Indies is trying hard. Says changing live broadcast. And also, come on, my boys. Says no. And there's we're just seeing the dismissals. De Silva played a silly shot, got out. Elzadi Joseph left his bat out wide. I heard Shamar Joseph was a security guard as well. Says PXL. Yeah, he's had quite a story. He started off, I think, working construction, but he didn't like heights. So because of that, he decided he wanted to become a security guard because it felt safer. Then from there, got picked up to play cricket. It takes 2 days to get to his village, I think they said. But someone managed to find him somehow. He's been training for the last 2 years as one of the ex-West Indian cricketers. And now he's become what he has today, which is a massive, massive prospect. The lower order showing more fight, says Outram. And he was a security guard. That goes to show you what it is. For you is for you, says Keston. Oh, okay, they're going back to spin now. Might be a good way of getting Shamar Joseph out. I believe that's actually how they dismissed him in the first innings. It was because of the little bit of a slower delivery, hit it up in the air, and did end up getting caught. Now, this is quite interesting because will Shamar Joseph, as a young player, have adapted from how he went out? Now, I'm in Barbados, not Australia. Okay, so it's a bit more tricky, I think, unfortunately. And I have to say straight away, it's so disappointing that there aren't free-to-air options for this game in the Caribbean because at the end of the day, like, I know there's thousands of people who would want to watch it. Knock the spinners out of the park, says Geron. That's an option, but they also could just work it around, get some quick singles. Not go too aggressive. That's the thing. This could be a big partnership if they let it happen. And they have to make sure that they don't just throw their wicket away for the sake of it. I feel like Shamar Joseph If he gets out caught here, that would be a pretty disappointing end to his innings. But if he just taps it to the leg side, oh, he's at the big swing and he's been stumped. That'll be the dismissal now. Shamar Joseph, 15 off 12 deliveries. I don't like that much, to be honest. I feel like they could have easily just tapped it around. Twos were available, singles were available, but he went for the doctor and he gets dismissed. So the West Indies bowled out for 120. The Australians, they would need 25 runs to win this test match. Golda says Vidraj, and also keep fighting the Windies, says Sinclair Mayers. And good night, Radical is here. The West Indies can get 80. We can make a game as they hit 119 and Labuschagne 47 after he was dropped on 3. Or sorry, the Khawaja drop on 3. Says Desmond bring on more runs, says no. And also we have got there keep fighting Windies. Just throwing that wicket away, unfortunately. But he, to be fair, he's a better batsman when he's aggressive, Shamar Joseph. But I think if he had just worked it, like they had so much space on the leg side. We're talking easy runs if they wanted it. But Josh Hazlewood, he got the 5 for. He's had a 9-wicket match now. So more than likely we'll end up with that man of the match. But now, Australia, they've got 25 runs to go. Australia have too many plans like A, B, C, D. Says in SA, and Shamar is a great prospect. Happy he was being given the chance. Hope we'll have the new ball, says Ashton. And yeah, for the pink ball test, could be an option. You said the West Indies does weigh. Says a no, and Happy New Year to all the texters. Love your opinion. Says, it was there from Ali. Australia, sorry, they need 26 runs to win this test match. But for the West Indies, I mentioned about it earlier on as well. It's all about whether or not they can put a little bit of a mental block on the Australians by getting 1 or 2 wickets, annoying the opening batsman. Get Steve Smith out. Maybe get Usman Khawaja out. And then all of a sudden, the Australians, they will be wondering, what did they do wrong? Poor West Indies was rooting for them. Says Simran there. And also, hi Hamish, says Jet Lees. And also West Indies will pick up 3 wickets. Says Desmond, well, no. If no, but let's forget. Maybe game over. Says Melcher. And West Indies, they don't have patience. Says Shuffy. Now we've got the innings changeover, ladies and gents. So it's about a 5 or so minute break. I think Australia will be pretty keen to get out there, get the runs early. They've got another 50 minutes remaining in this session. But I believe with the amount of runs required, the session will be extended. So more than likely, within the next hour, we will see a winner of this test match. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want something to do for the next 10 minutes, I highly recommend checking out that pinned comment. It is of us batting in a match. Or sorry, it's actually of us bowling. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to give you the link to the one of us batting. Because I feel like a lot of people like the batting videos more than the bowling. We'll go like this. And we'll go like this. So yeah, if you want something to do for the next 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out that link that I've just put. It was actually my first ever 50 that I was able to get. I had the GoPro on my helmet, so be sure to give it a look. We have got what's your age. I am 24. Now, some people are like, what? You look older. And other people are like, what? You look like you're 12. But, yeah. 24. How old I am. Nothing new, says Ali. Come on, the West Indies, keep up the fight. Could be interesting with some lead. I say 250, although unfortunately just lost their last wicket. They only have the lead of 25. I think the West Indies players should only be paid for 2 days. There's Ashton and IQ lads. Are you from New Zealand? We have got there. Can you tell me how your relations with Aussies? And you both are neighbours, right? There is a weird rivalry that sometimes comes out of New Zealanders and Australians. But the one that I don't understand is when people are like, oh, I don't like Australia. And then you're like, oh, I hear you're going on holiday. Where you going? Oh, I'm going to Australia. And it's like, well, you're literally giving them money. So you must like them a little bit. And brothers, says David, What do you think? Will Steve Smith remain not out? It sounds bad to say, but I kind of want to see him go out. Only because I feel like he's taken that opening jersey or that opening spot off someone who probably deserves it more. He should have just stuck to his spot at 4, but he wanted to be the hero. Go up the order. A mature young man says, Leary, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, anyone who does want to see that GoPro cricket video while there is the bit of a break that we have got here. The other one is the pinned comment. That is for our bowling innings. That was actually the one that I managed to get 3 wickets in, believe it or not. Good commentary, keep it up. Says Dunstan. Yeah, it was quite awesome because I did check that video, the pinned comment one, and it had an extra about 100 viewers on that one. So, yeah, greatly appreciate you guys popping in. For that, we are 20 subscribers away from our goal by the end of this live stream as well, ladies and gents. Only needing another 20 to get to 45,500. So if you want to get us there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. The Australians, they will be getting ready to go. Pitches being rolled, 26 runs to win. Okay, so the West Indies, they all look warmed up and ready to go. They are talking about the fact that the West Indies, they can pick up a couple wickets and will certainly dwindle the confidence of the Australians. But for the Australians, they still want to make sure that they are none down. And why we're not getting free-to-air commentary from Australia, says Anthony, I believe it is free-to-air on 7, if I'm not wrong. So that will be 7 now probably if you want the app version, but you should be able to get it on there as your option. Kerry O'Keefe just mentioned about how Australia were to lose 1 or 2, they wouldn't be too happy. For the wickets department, of course, Labuschagne will be sitting there at 3, Cam Green 4. They will be thinking, we don't want to bat. Why is Steve Smith there in the thumbnail instead of Pat Cummins? Says Randy, well, because I was going with opening batsmen as the theme rather than captains. So because Steve Smith was opening, Craig Braithwaite also opening, so I went with the 2 guys who were opening as the pitcher. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I can understand why you'd be a little bit confused because it could have been going with captains. But yeah, opening batsman, Steve Smith now and Usman Khawaja to get 26 runs. Commentators have said that they'll try and play their natural game, but I honestly believe that they'll be a little bit more aggressive because the longer that they stay out there, the more chance West Indies have got of getting a good ball in the right place and the Australians losing that wicket. 120 West Indies were bowled out for. Unfortunately, not as many as they got in the first innings where they were able to get the 188. Now both men making their way out onto the field for the Australians, the West Indies. What can they do with this 25-run lead? The only thing left in this match for the West Indies is an opportunity for Shamar to impress further. Says Ashton and Hamish and Jack says, Obi, welcome in, mate. How you doing? Very well. Steve Smith just doing his stretches, getting the hamstrings all warmed up. Now we're only on the first session of day 3, ladies and gentlemen, and this one will be the last of this test. Means that both sides get the weekend off. They'll be able to enjoy a little bit of family time, more than likely, although straight back into training, of course, afterwards. Just rolling on the pitch currently still. Steve Smith, though, he's keen to get underway. They're actually out there a lot earlier than they normally would be, the Australians, and that is because they want to get this over and done with. The man is still on the pitch with his roller, driving around. Steve Smith, best of 239. His best as an opener is 12, so it's not quite as impressive. But for the Windies, they want to pick up that wicket as Steve Smith. It will be Kumar Roach bowling the first over here. And almost at 50k subs, hit that like button, fam. Says Obi. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are only 20 away from the goal by the end of this live stream. We are so close, we can almost taste it, but I'm not going to lick my phone. But be sure to hit that subscribe button. Australia should give some of their youngsters chance. It's only the West Indies. I agree. I feel like Australia, I don't know what their approach was in terms of their selection. There were so many other players they could have gone with. Resting a few guys from the Pakistan series would have been a good idea, but they went with their full lineup. Luckily for them, it doesn't seem like it's going to cost them any injuries. Plus, because of how many wickets they were able to take, they haven't had to bowl a huge amount of overs, only bowling about 100. Now, Steve Smith. Just have to wait for the roller to make his way off the field. It only drives at about maybe 10 Ks if he's lucky. And while these guys will eat the good Susie food, we'll view the scenic places in Australia, win or lose. They'll have an enjoyable stay in Australia, says Dunstan. Now, Kumar Roach opening the bowling from one end. They were saying on the commentary, maybe they thought that they'd go with the two Joseph boys, Alzari and Shamar. But first ball now for the West Indies. It's a little bit leg side, and he's going to work it to the leg side for a single. 25 runs to win now needed for the Australians. West Indies will win all the T20 in the series early. Going to bed tonight, says Patrick. And yeah, I guess it will be a good opportunity for you guys watching from the Caribbean and America. Oh, it's a no ball as well for Kumar Roach. So now only 24 runs needed for the Australians. I'm thinking they want Bunning sausage. Tell you what, a Bunning snag would go a long way about now. Sadly, they don't have the barbecues fired up on a Friday here in New Zealand normally. Saturday's the day. But Usman Khawaja, best of 195, not out. He's had over 5,000 test runs. Pushed at that one a little bit, so I think straight away we're going to see more aggressive from Usman Khawaja. He did take his time getting to his 40-plus runs in the first innings, about 120 balls or so. Now, West Indies, they have still got 4 slips. Seen some great catches taken from the Windies, including Greaves. Did extremely well. Kumar Roach, 2 balls bowled. Or in fact, sorry, just the 1 ball bowled. Nice movement. Just see him in a way, 131.4 Ks. He's loose at the moment. Kumar Roach after having a bat. Just getting it to go in and then go away. This is still going to be a difficult period of time. Catches win matches, says Obi. And yeah, at the moment, I mean, the West Indies, they have only dropped 1 catch throughout this test match. And they've taken some absolute screamers. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll want a couple more here with only the 24 runs remaining. Now Roach down the leg side, dot ball. Well handled by De Silva. Like they've said, the Gabba just around the corner. That will be the day-night test commentator there. I think it's Brendan Julian. Said exactly what I said a little while ago about getting 1 wicket to try and take away some of the confidence of the Aussie opening batsman. Khawaja. 3 balls faced. And that will be the 4th. Nice solid in behind it from Khawaja. Now, there is still 40 minutes remaining in this session, but I would say that it will be extended until we get a result in this test match. I also don't think it will go the full 40 minutes. Theoretically, that would be around 10 overs, which would mean Australia scoring at 2.4 or so, which I think they'll score a little bit higher than that. Even if we get through 8 overs, it's still only 3 and over for the Australians from their dominant position in this match. Oh, once again, very well bowled by Kumar Roach, getting it to move away from the left-hander Khawaja. Good seam movement. And the more we see the ball doing that, the more we wonder if the West Indies had a lead of 100, maybe 150, they have got the job done. 24 runs remaining to win for Australia. Target of only the 26 was initially on the board. That one's been left alone by Khawaja. Just the 2 runs off the Roach over. And it is 2 for none. Who was the GOAT at fielding? Says Obi. In terms of like New Zealanders, I think Martin Guptill got a lot of praise for his fielding. Who are the old school guys who used to field extremely well? I think there was a West Indian who was very good in the fielding department. Jadeja's very sharp at the moment for India, but of course I don't know whether or not people would call him the GOAT. Jonty Rhodes. He was probably the one that I was thinking of as well for very good fielders. West Indies dropped 2 catches in the first innings. Did they? What was the second catch, St Elmore? I know that Joshua Da Silva dropped Kawadra on 3. What was the other catch that they did put down? Was it late in the day, perhaps, with one of those last 2 wickets? Because I did actually have cricket training, which is why I missed the final moments of the first innings for Australia. Alzari Joseph now bowling to Steve Smith on his stumps. Does hit it out to Chanderpaul at mid-wicket. For him, he might not even try and rush this, Steve Smith. He might just want to get a little bit more time under his belt as an opening batsman. He didn't bat a huge amount of time in the first innings. Actually got dismissed first ball from Shamar Joseph, although before that stage did have 12 runs on the board. And Alzari Joseph get his wicket, work to leg side, straight to Chanderpaul again. Neil Fairbrother says Russell Small. Just showing Shamar Joseph. Talking about whether or not they should go with Shamar Joseph rather than Kumar Roach. Although at this stage, to say first over from Roach was pretty solid. So hasn't done too much wrong there as of yet. It's just whether or not there will be runs left with Shamar Joseph's bowling for the West Indies. 3 slips and the gully for the right-hander. Smith, shorter ball, pulled away. That looked very close to Chanderpaul. I'm not sure whether or not he got a hand to it or whether it was round him, but it will be 4 runs just dragged down from Joseph. Not short enough to trouble the veteran Steve Smith. See it from a different angle here. Pulled away. No, about maybe 2 metres, maybe 3 to the side of Chanderpaul. Nicely played. It was going at the helmet, to be fair. I think it was just the fact that Steve Smith played it so well. That will now take the Aussies to needing only the 20 runs. Joseph's drained 2 straight, which means that Smith able to work it off his pads down to Shamar Joseph, fielding at deep fine leg. And that'll be just the single now. Field changed to the left-hander. Chris Harris was a great New Zealand fielder, says Obi. He certainly was. Who would you say at the moment is the best Australian fielder? Would you say, I'd probably argue Cam Green. Like Labuschagne's sharp as well, but I think Cam Green for his work in the gully region is extremely impressive. He'd be one of those, the West Indian cricket coaches. It seemed like you know your cricket, says Cornet Smith. I don't think they'd hire me as a coach for the West Indies. Like, I don't have a lot of experience even coaching, let alone playing cricket. Like, I took a 10-year break from playing. So, yeah, don't know if they'll have me in the coaching department. If anyone wants to see one of the latest GoPro videos of me batting out in the middle, it was actually my first 50. That is the link that I have just put there. And also the one in the pinned comment is for my bowling. If anyone does want to see that, we've got a few more GoPro cricket videos coming up in the near future. So be sure to check those out. Alzari Joseph, more short of a length outside off the end of the over. It's gone for 5 and Australia 7 for none. There you go. Australia says Aussie is the best, or Ollie is the best. And Green says, David, yeah, the way that he's able to move for a big man as well. Jordan Silk is the best fielder in Australia. He's very sharp, Jordan Silk. The diving catches that he takes in the IPL are always very impressive. And then for the West Indies in this match in particular, I would probably say, to be honest, like Greaves is looking very good in the field. Motti wasn't too bad with that catch above his head. West Indies holding their own in the fielding department. Now Roach to Steve Smith, 2 extremely experienced players. Left alone with that first delivery from Smith. Still 19 runs remaining for the Australians, and they've got 35 minutes remaining in the session. Now it only takes a boundary and over, and we are done in 5 overs here. But West Indies, they want that wicket. Even if it's just one, it would still mean a lot to them to be able to pick it up and slightly take away some Aussie confidence. Drive there from Smith, running down the pitch towards the bowler after playing his forward defensive. I feel like Steve Smith, in his first innings, he didn't look too bad overall. It's just he got out to a very good ball from Shamar Joseph. Played at the wrong one. Ponting was probably the best Australian fielder in so far. Zobin also sups up. Says, I tried to turn down under. Welcome in again, Amelia. Pitched up, driven by Smith. Don't think he's quite got the timing of that one, so they may have to run them. Oh no, it just kept on going. Azari Joseph chasing after him, going to stream on Twitch later today. Says Amelia, I did get a link from Brandon to be able to watch it. I think he streamed GTA if I'm not wrong. Yeah, nice punch from Steve Smith. Does end up rolling all the way to the boundary. Just that nice rolling outfield for Adelaide. It's actually quickened up, I think, over the last day or so. But also square of the wicket a lot shorter in the boundaries. About 65 metres. One's been left alone. Well stepped across for Steve Smith to make sure that it didn't come back and hit his stumps. Well, just still yet to get himself a run in this innings. Here, Brandon sent a link. Says Amelia. And there as well. But anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are now only 16 away from the goal by the end of the stream. We are getting very, very close. If you do want to help us get there, if you want to be the 44,500th subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now outside off stump again, left alone by Smith, so he's not in a hurry. He's going to hit the bad ball away, but overall, he's going to be persistent in staying out there for these last 15 runs. Kawaja 0 off 8. Smith sitting 10 off 10, so actually playing quite an aggressive start to his innings, but I don't think he's really done anything that's too drastic. It's more he received a short ball, he pulled it away for 4, received a half volley outside off stump, hit it away for 4 as well. Oi, that one came back in off the seam. That'll be the end of the over, 11 for none now for the Australians. Charter has said, hi guys, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Just showing me McDonald's ads at the moment, making me hungry. It's 2 p.m. here in New Zealand, or as I like to call it, close to food time. Only the lunch break taking place at 2:30 p.m. New Zealand time, but I don't think we'll quite get there. Definitely not if Australia get a couple more boundaries. 2 more, and then they're only needing 7 runs, and that's pretty close. Glenn Maxwell, not a bad fielder. Very good fielder. Glenn Maxwell has taken some absolute screamers that even he has been surprised with. I remember there was one in the BBL, how he took like a diving catch, or I don't even think he dived. He just stuck his hand up, caught it way behind him, and kind of looked at the ball as if to say, well, how's that happened? How's that stuck in my hand? Good dot ball for Alzadi Joseph. Kawaja dropped in the first innings on 3 runs. He went on to get in the 40s. Just shows the importance of taking those catches. West Indies have done relatively well in that department. Alzadi Joseph has got the most pace out of any of the West Indian bowlers. That one's nicely worked off the hip by Kawaja. Gets his first run of the day. No duck for him today. And David, and there as well says Obi. The moment for the West Indies is slightly annoying because every time the Australians get a single, they have to change their field. They have to switch around for the left-hand, right-hand combo. I just shown Greaves might be a bowling option, although he won't have a lot of runs to work with. Shamar Joseph also could be an attacking threat. I honestly think after that last roach over, I would. Do you take him off though, or do you just leave him on? Nice shot from Steve Smith. Beautifully fielded. Had to be taken by Muti. Fielding at point because that was struck clean from Steve Smith. Just whipping the wrist through that ball, but beautifully taken by Motti. And Steve's with frustration on his face. He thought he should have had the boundary there. I still have my hopes up, hoping the West Indies win. There's Carolyn. It's going to be tough here, but at least we've seen some good moments for the Windies. We've seen some young players who are now going to be the future. That is a tight leave for Steve Smith just next to the off stump. Imagine if Smith got out on the same amount of runs as the first innings. Well, it is now an option. He's only 2 runs away from that 12 that he had, and maybe even the same bowler, Shamar Joseph, could come in. Match attendance, 67,000 today. They've got about 16,000 in attendance, which is a few less than they've had on the other days, but that is to be expected. That was a big yawn. Yeah, match attendance, 67,000. Of course, they would have liked it closer to 100,000, but with the match progressing as quickly as it did, meant that they weren't quite going to get all of the attendance. Just the 1 run of Alzari Joseph's over so far. The second ball worked to the leg side by Usman Khawaja. Smith 10 of 14. They got a memory of David Hooks, I believe it was. The bat leaning up against the stumps. That said 2004 though. Was that correct, or have they done a typo? David Hooks. Australian cricketer. Yeah, 2004. So they always put it on the Adelaide Oval wicket. They're showing Pizza Hut now. I think we've seen KFC, we've seen McDonald's, and now they got Pizza Hut. They're just trying to tempt me. A solid over from Alzari Joseph. At the end of the day, not leaking too many runs along the way. Khawaja now. Oh, here we go. Why not bowl Shamar? They have just brought him in. Shamar Joseph in partnership with Alzari. Can he get it right, Shamar Joseph? First ball of Usman Khawaja. Khawaja will look to attack him because they'll know that this youngster's got a lot of confidence currently. They want to take that away from him. KFC, says Robert. Here comes Shamar Joseph. Over the wicket, cut shot. Khawaja hits him to the boundary for 4 runs. And that is the kind of aggression we were to expect. A loosener from Shamar Joseph, though it was outside of off stump, kind of around that hit me height of the cut shot. And Khawaja deals with it quite nicely. Now only 10 runs to win now for the Australians. You've done a very good job. Continue to keep it up. My favourite country to travel to is Australia, Netherlands and England. Also India, all because of cricket. So here's Patrick Davey. And there as well. And yeah, it's been greatly appreciated you being here all throughout this live stream and throughout the days that we have done. So far for this test match, I believe we've racked up around maybe 16 and a half or 17 hours of live streaming. The voice is struggling. That is the only good thing about it only going the 3 days, is I don't think I could have talked for another 2 days. Just not with the lack of practice I've had for test match cricket again. I also talk fast, so that kind of means I say a lot more words than most people normally would. Athanaze, McKenzie, Hodge, and Greaves. They're the slip cordon. Round the wicket, almost chopped on by Usman Khawaja. He's still looking to attack Shamar Joseph, and you can tell now Shamar Joseph wants to face off with Steve Smith. He don't want Khawaja. Yes, Khawaja would be a fantastic wicket for him, but he don't want him. He wants to get Steve Smith out twice on debut. How many players can say that they've done that? I love it. Says Chara there. Anyone who is new, hit that subscribe button, please. We are only 12 away from our subscriber goal by the end of this live stream. In Australia, only need 10 runs, so we're getting very close. Ambrose was my favourite cricketer. It was amazing to watch. There's over. Yeah, a lot of those old school bowlers for the West Indies were just a joy to watch. West Indies will take away one thing from this game, and that Australia is indeed the best test team in the world, says Daniel. And yeah, the fact that they bowled out Australia, it's a no ball from Joseph, that hurts. But 283, someone told me a stat which was very interesting, and I don't know if it was correct or not, so we have to try and believe them. But the stat was that this was the first time that the West Indies have bowled out Australia in Australia since 2005. Shot. Khawaja hits it nicely, gets himself the single. 1 ball remaining in the over. 2 balls, in fact, remaining in the over. And Steve Smith now facing Shamar Joseph. Will he leave the ball or will he play at it? I think for Shamar Joseph, he has to get him to play at it. If you're Steve Smith on strike, you're just making sure you don't make the mistakes that you made in the first innings. Now, the first time that he got the wicket, he ran forward and he actually did a false start. He had to do his loop and do it again. Here he comes, Shamar Joseph to Steve Smith. It's a good ball, but it is well blocked. Little nod there from Steve Smith. Big smile on his face. The crowd give him a cheer as well. Yeah, just a bit of a smile there to Shamar Joseph, as if to say, yep. Gave him a wink as well. Absolutely loving it, Shamar Joseph. Big smile on his face. That's one thing about this test series, or this test match, that's been pretty awesome. Like, there's been no, ill intent from either side. Yes, we saw Mitchell Starc try and take Shamar Joseph's head off. Oh, that's a good ball. Just outside. Very close for Shamar Joseph. But yeah, both sides have been smiling throughout. Gives the nod. That was a good ball, that is what Steve Smith just said. And also, right, why you want to imagine that, says NSA for Steve Smith going out early. I think a lot of people, I'll be honest, even some Australians want Steve Smith to go out early. Mainly because they feel like he wasn't the guy who should have been opening. They wanted Matty Renshaw, or they wanted Cam Bancroft, or one of the other guys who have been working tirelessly in first-class cricket to try and get that opportunity for once David Warner or Khawaja retired. I will be back for the second test. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay strong. Try to get a nice cold red striped beer from Jamaica. God be with you, says Patrick. That is a great drive from Khawaja. And it's just going to pull up inside of the field of play. I think that the ruling here, or to be honest, I think Steve Smith will look to attack Alzarri Joseph in this over. Only because I don't think he wants to face Shamar Joseph again. Played and missed. Brian Lara's playing in our rugby versus cricket match. Can't wait. Says, oh, that'll be pretty awesome to see him once again in action. Rugby versus cricket, I think that's tomorrow, isn't it? If I'm correct. Oh, sorry, it might actually be next week, is it? That it's taking place? Or is it this week? Might be this week. Is it 6:30? Nicely played by Smith. Punches that one forward. 5 runs to win. 6 are out. It's the way that I'd look at this. Or at least that's what I'd be saying if I was the wicket keeper to Steve Smith. I'd just be telling him, why don't you get it done in 1, mate? Hit it to the boundary all the way. And then hope that he messes it up. I don't really sledge well as a wicket keeper. Should do a live over, says Obi. I think I'll still be at cricket at the time that it's taking place, but I believe it's free to air on TVNZ here in New Zealand. Left alone. Side of our stump. Quite a bit of width on offer there for Alzarri Joseph. Still a bit of swing taking place. But yeah, one of the benefits of being the wicketkeeper is you get to see some pretty awesome catches from your perspective. I actually had the GoPro on my helmet, and oh, that's a massive no ball for Alzarri Joseph, stepping over by a good that or so. I really enjoy your commentary. Blessings every time. Says Patrick. Thank you very much, mate. But yeah, after the runs are scored by Australia, I will show you one of the catches that I caught on GoPro camera, which were pretty awesome. Been here since day one in the Maldives. So it starts at 4:30 a.m. So tired. Great commentary, says Diamond. Well, the good news is the next test match, I believe, will be starting at around 8 a.m. for you in the Maldives, or maybe 9 a.m. in fact. So it's not quite as bad, but it is greatly appreciated that you stay up all throughout the night watching these streams. Yeah, I hope you have had a lot of fun along the way. Alzarri Joseph to Steve Smith. We are currently 3 balls in, and Australia only need 1 boundary to get themselves the victory. Oi, that was close to the outside edge of Steve Smith. 140 Ks, not a lot of bounce there for Alzarri Joseph as the ball went through to the keeper. Nice shape on offer. Yeah, nicely done. Steve Smith frustrated. He's saying that one should have gone to the boundary, or at least he should have done something better with it. The attendance for today just under the 17,000 mark. 4 runs remaining. Oi, good Yorker for Alzarri Joseph, but whipped off the pads. That'll be a single for Steve Smith. 1 ball remaining in the over. Boundary would win it for the Aussies. If Khawaja does not hit a boundary here and it is a dot ball, we get to see Shamar Joseph, Steve Smith, one-on-one once more in the test match. And to be honest, I think that's what everyone wants to see at the moment. Even if it was Steve Smith hitting him away to the boundary, I feel like that is still a rivalry that could have something in it for the future. Next week, we're going to get to see them go head-to-head once more. They are just showing McKenzie there. A decent day with the bat. Actually, top run scored for both innings for the West Indies. Outside off stump, left alone by Khawaja. And that'll be the end of the Joseph over. 23 for none off the 6. And this is pretty good. Oh, it's a no ball. Why does he keep doing that? Keep the foot behind the line, mate. We thought it was going to be over. Now if Khawaja hits the runs, he's just kind of teased everyone. He said, oh, you might get to see Shamar Joseph versus Smith, but now you don't because I've bowled from in front of the line. Thanks much for your commentary. Bretto, it was top class, says Michael Perry. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, we are going to be back for that second test, like I mentioned. Also, a few other matches of cricket in the near future. So, anyone who is new, hit that subscribe button. We are currently now only 10 away from the goal we had by the end of the live stream. Khawaja, ready to line this one up. Last ball of Joseph's over. Looking focused. Hoping for the freebie. That's him on the pad, and they'll take the single, which now means that he will be on strike while the scores are level. 1 run needed for the Australians to be able to win this, and it will be Shamar Joseph does bowl the final over, perhaps, of this test match. It's still been very entertaining. Be in Singapore for the next test. Oh, so does that mean time zone wise? Oh, that might not be too bad in Singapore now I think about it. I think it might be a morning start or late morning start for you. But yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. Trying to sell me a jumbo glue stick now. I can tell you I was hungry, but I would not eat a glue stick. Not unless it was very desperate times anyway. Now Khawaja. Oi, good ball from Shamar Joseph. Nice pace shown. Going around the wicket here at the moment. Does not want to give away the final run. 3 hours behind Brisbane time, I think, says Diamond. Oh, yeah, so you'll be, yeah, around that late morning type time for it. Yeah, Khawaja liked it. He said well bowled to the youngster, Shamar Joseph. Well, I feel like he's just got the respect of the Australian side for what he's been able to do coming into this test side. One of the many debuts that we saw in Adelaide, but still charging in. Short ball. Oh, that's hit Khawaja, and it's an awkward one. He's going to be taking his helmet off. It might have got him in the side of the head there for Usman Khawaja. He might have bit his lip as well. It's an ugly bouncer for Usman Khawaja. He says, I'm all right, mate. I think it might be a bit of blood coming from Kawaja's mouth now with that bouncer. I think he bit his tongue or bit his lip or something along those lines, but an ugly bouncer from Shamar Joseph. Oh, I think it's actually missed the helmet for Usman Khawaja, and application is what we're lacking. If these guys apply themselves at the crease, we'll do much better. It's all about playing shots, says Nigel. Oh. Okay, might be a jaw injury here for for Usman Khawaja. Hit him right on it. Didn't hit the helmet. He had his head tilted up, so it's actually gone in. I've got a ball here. The best way of describing it is if this is his grill, he's kind of tilted up, and it's hit him pretty much there. And as you can hear, that's quite hard. So he's moving his tongue around. Like they've said, you get a fracture on the other side sometimes if you get struck on one side because of the way that your jaw jolts across. I love it in a good game so far, says Chara. It was a good bouncer, and unfortunately Khawaja just didn't react in time to be able to get out of the way of it. Straight away, taking their helmet off. If you're Australia here, you'd retire him hurt. You wouldn't bother sending him back out there, or at least having him on strike for this next ball, because they've got to do the concussion test, of course, next 5 minutes, but I don't think you'd even risk it. I think you'd just take him off, bring Labuschagne out to face the final. Like, their scores are level at the moment. You don't need to risk him taking another one of those. I don't think Shamar Joseph would bowl him another one, and I don't think there was any ill intent from the youngster. Of course, I was talking about the fact that he got struck by Mitchell Starc with a similar bouncer in the first innings. Yeah, it looks like they will be. Yeah. They've given him his bat. But yeah, he's going to make his way from the field. There's no point risking it here for Usman Khawaja. So he will be retired hurt. It does not count as a wicket. And watching you from all the way in St. Kitts in the West Indies. Says Nigel, so welcome in, mate. But yeah, not the way that we thought the day would end. But Usman Khawaja still kind of holding here. I would send Pat Cummins, says Samuel, although now Marnus Labuschagne, he actually knows a thing or two about taking a bouncer, because originally he was brought in due to a bouncer from Jofra Archer on Steve Smith. And then almost first ball that he makes his way to the middle, he takes one on the grill as well. But yeah, it was an ugly one because Khawaja, he tilted his head. So he exposed his jaw to take in the shot, which of course doesn't really work too well. In boxing, they always tell you to tuck your chin. But Khawaja did the opposite. He had the head up a little bit more. So he will be retired hurt. We will find out whether or not there is anything more serious involved, whether it's a jaw injury, whether or not he will be playing at the Gabba for the next test match. Perfect observations, bro, says Rastaman. But now Marnus Labuschagne makes his way to the middle. 1 run required for the Australians to win this test match. What do you bowl here? If you're Shamar Joseph, do you give Labuschagne the bouncer as well, or do you go just outside of the off stump? We have got there. Really enjoyed your insights commentary here in the UK. Have you seen the relative Six Nations squads which have been announced recently? I actually haven't had a chance to have a look at it yet, but I will be having a look probably straight after this test match. I'm watching you all the way from St. Vincent, says Agal. I'm watching from Granada. Thanks, mate, says Dwight. Thank you very much for being here, mate. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe. Oh, there's a noise. I'm not sure what it was. Could have been an edge from Marnus Labuschagne, but not out. We'll get to see a snicko at some stage as long as Marnus doesn't score the winning run now. I think we'll get to see it. Short ball pulled away, and that'll be the single to close out the day. The West Indies have been defeated by Australia in Australia. Brilliant work from the Aussies. Travis Head's batting changed the game. Josh Hazlewood's bowling was phenomenal. We have Goodell watching from Guyana and reckon the next delivery would be a bouncer, says Francis there. Yeah, Shamar Joseph, he'll be going over trying to shake hands with Usman Khawaja. That is if Khawaja is still around. He would have been taken probably back to have medical attention. Watching you all the way from Guyana in South America, says Steve Messiah. And there as well, but nonetheless, Australia winning this match by 10 wickets. West Indies did well to still chase down the runs that they needed to, that they were trailing by. But in the end, the Aussies just showing off their strength once more in this test. But anyone who does want to watch more cricket, of course, this one has ended earlier than we were hoping. Be sure to check out that link that I have just put in the chat. That is for the GoPro cricket video that I did when I was batting. We've also got the pin comment for when I was bowling. But I did promise you guys that at the end of the stream, I would show you the wicket from wicketkeeper cam. So here it is. Enjoy. It's 15 seconds, so it will pop up. Then I will be straight back after it.
Boom!
Well done.
Oh.
That is Simon. He is English and he absolutely loves fielding in the slip cordon. But yeah, it's quite a cool angle when you watch him from the GoPro, getting to see what is happening out there on the field. So if you want to see more of that, of course, like I mentioned, that link that I just put in the comments, as well as the pinned comment, you'll be able to catch more GoPro cricket videos on their channel. But Australia doing very well, winning by the 10 wickets. Josh Hazlewood, for me, has to be man of the match with his bowling efforts. And I have to say, Shamar Joseph doing extremely well, getting a big bit of praise from Steve Smith after the match was over, giving him a big handshake saying, well bowled, mate. Steve Smith has one not out, the top of the order. West Indies show better fight, the high order batting is still not up to par, says Daryl. Yeah, there'll be some big decisions to be made for the West Indies in their next innings. Who do they go with? Who do they take out? I honestly feel like Shamar Joseph, he's confirmed his spot. I would keep Greaves. I would keep McKenzie. Braithwaite will stay because he's the captain. De Silva will probably stay as keeper because he's the only real option that they have got. I think that they'll stick with Roach and Joseph. Middle order, a little bit trickier. Hodge, did he do enough? Motti, he's the spin option, so they'll probably keep him. So, yeah, I've got about 8 or so that I think they'll go with. I didn't say Chanderpaul, even though his fielding was very nice indeed. And then also, yeah, like I said, Hodge might not get that chance. And then, yeah, it's hard to say who else they might change. So a comprehensive win for Australia. Current squad is probably the strongest in world cricket. Maybe only India's bowling unit is stronger, says Francis. And yeah, it also depends on where they're playing. Like if Australia are playing in India, bowling-wise, India, you give them the advantage. But in Australia, with the Australian bowling attack, I would say you'd give them that every day of the week. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently only 6 away from the goal that we had to close out this live stream. So if you want to hit that subscribe button right at the end, be sure to do so. We're back next week for the second test match between these two sides. We've got the Champions Cup and the rugby side of things this weekend. Next week's extremely busy. There's going to be sevens, there's going to be rugby, and there's going to be a lot of excitement as well. I'm just looking through at what else we've got. Mainly Champions Cup. We might have Pakistan, New Zealand on Sunday night. Could be an option that we might look at doing, but it starts at Thursday, the 25th of January for us here in New Zealand and Australia for that test match between the West Indies and Australia. It will be a day-night test. Should be a pretty awesome one. Thank you. I enjoyed this. A little different for me, Hamish. So here's Robert, and yeah, it's greatly appreciated with how long you have been here on the live stream. Greatly appreciated, like I mentioned. And yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy all of the action that we've had throughout this live stream. We've got plenty more coming in the near future for the cricket. Of course, England versus England, England not playing themselves. England versus India is also just around the corner. So more than likely, any chance we get to cover some of that test match, if it runs longer than Australia-West Indies, we will be transferring over to cover the remaining days of that test as well. The benefit that we've got is both test matches are starting at identical times, so we can actually do a little bit of co-commentary, doing both of the matches simultaneously. And good job, enjoy the commentary. And what's Labuschagne caught down the leg side, says Douglas. They never actually showed it, unfortunately, for the Snicko. There was a noise of some sort. None of the West Indian players went up for an appeal. Umpire gave it as not out, so I guess we'll never know. Looking forward to hearing more from you in the coming weeks. In 2 weeks' time, Hamish, it's Six Nations time. It certainly is. We are covering every game of the Six Nations on the channel. Super Rugby just around the corner. The NRL starting back up soon. And, of course, Test match cricket, T20 cricket. It's all happening in the world of sport. Australia won, says Surjana. They certainly did. Managing to get themselves the win by 10 wickets. Shamar Joseph, 5 for 94 in his first innings as a bowler, and also second top score for him when he was with the bat in hand. And I think in that second innings, he got 15, so he was actually fifth highest, which was a bit better. At least the runs were slightly separated around a little bit. Of course, Brathwaite getting 1, Chanderpaul getting none, Athanaze getting 0, 3 for Hodge, 3 for Morty. Those kind of numbers, we're hurting them. Is they all happening? Says Francis. It certainly is, and we're going to be here for a lot of it. So anyone who's new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thoughts on Adelaide not getting a weekend test? They'll be disappointed. It's always hard to make money for test match cricket when you aren't having 2 days of attendance. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's also one of the reasons that test match cricket is slowly losing money, is because they haven't been able to have long test matches. We're hardly seeing test matches go 5 days anymore. They normally finish by day 3 at a stretch, maybe day 4. But yeah, man of the match, I would say Josh Hazlewood has to take it, getting 5 wickets in his second innings, 35 runs off his 14 overs, 2.5, another way of saying it, for his economy, 6 maidens. Across that as well, and 89, says Amos. And there as well, but nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I said, if you want to watch a little bit more cricket before you head to bed, be sure to check out this link. It is to my innings where I was batting. The link in the pinned comment is the one when I was bowling. And yeah, we got plenty more videos coming up on the Kiwi Lads channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. We will see you next week and also this weekend for some more rugby and also the test match taking place next week as well. But I will see you all